Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good. As always, I'm always great because we're talking football. Today we're talking draft guy Davante Adams. What is his outlook for the 2024 fantasy football season? Lots of moving parts with these Las Vegas Raiders. And I mean, okay, there's a lot of question marks on what could potentially be a Davante Adams with this new look Raiders team now that they have new quarterback potential here with a Gardner Minshew. I mean, Adams is still one of the creams of the crop in the NFL. If you put him with a quarterback like a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, we know the stat line would still be extremely heavy, and he's still being, promoted as such in the ADP. There is no question about that. But let's talk about his stats, man, going all the way back 4 years, 2020, 2021, 22, and 23. You see the decline that we do have here with a Davante Adams at this point. And we're talking about it straight up just from fantasy football productivity, where he was the wide receiver 1 in 2020, wide receiver 3 in 21, wide receiver 2 in 2022 with Derek Carr and those Raiders, and then wide receiver 11 this past year with the triple-headed monster they had with Aiden O'Connell, Jimmy Garoppolo, and then a Brian Hoyer at the quarterback spot. So you understand. Wide receivers are not immune to having poor quarterback play, and this does, bode in essence to say, are we in the beginning stages of the decline for a Davante Adams? I don't believe so, because I think that the elite tendencies and traits that he still does possess as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL is still here. It's just it's who's throwing him the damn football, and this is what clouds the judgment here this season for these Las Vegas Raiders. Last year, 47.1% on the boom rate, which means that he was booming for you on only a handful of contests to get up those points to be that wide receiver 1. 175 targets this past season, 103 receptions, 1,144 yards, and 8 touchdowns. One of his lowest in the average as well at 11.1. You're seeing a lot of other wide receivers start to take shape where you got Jacoby Myers, you got yourself this youngster Trey Tucker, and you added more depth with a Brock Bowers. You still got Michael Mayer. So you got to understand what is going down with this team. Last year, the target share was 531 targets for the Raiders, 348 receptions for 3,667 yards, and only 20 touchdowns. So 8 touchdowns out of the 20 went to Davante to try to save his season. And you see the decline overall in fantasy points, 300 to 282, back up to 285, and then his worst season in the past 4 years, this past year at 213.9, which still gave him wide receiver number 11. Top 10 finishes, only had 4 this past season. Again, there was a lot of stinkers for a Davante Adams that you definitely got to keep tabs on. He had 8 top 10 finishes with an Aaron Rodgers back in 2020. So, okay, we're not going to go back and say, is he the guy he was 4 years ago? Probably not, but at least you understand there is a trend moving in the wrong direction for Davante. But it's not an injury history concern, man, because he is relatively healthy. Did take some concussion history this past little while. I mean, did miss some time, but it wasn't crazy. And we're talking going all the way back 2018, knee strain grade 1, 2020. He had a thigh hamstring strain grade 2. Again, in 2020, he had a pedal ankle sprain, grade 1. I mean, unspecified. And then 2022, he had the pedal ankle sprain, high ankle sprain. I mean, grade 3, did miss some time with that as well. Did affect his numbers in that sense. So overall, he has been the epitome of consistency when it comes to the health and, can he play on the field? He does not miss a lot of contests over these past 4 years. 14 games, 16 games, 17 and 17 games with these Las Vegas Raiders. So, even as bad as the team has been, he wanted to win with Derek Carr, did not materialize. Carr went to the Saints. He still is playing on the field. Whether or not the effort is there with lesser quarterbacks, that's a different topic to be had. But at least we can say overall the injury potential risk for this season is definitely on the low. He is basically the staple of health and consistency. But overall, this team and how they look today, let's talk about the depth chart. It is Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania is the quarterback. I'm putting him here as a starter because if he does not beat out Aiden O'Connell, we got a problem is how they say it, man. And I think Gardner Minshew should absolutely do it. He showcased what he could do with those Indianapolis Colts last year, made them extremely competitive. Were they extremely high octane? No. And that is something that we definitely got to, make note of when we're talking about Davante Adams and his potential here in 2024. Minshew can get the job done. We saw what he was able to do with a Michael Pittman and Josh Downs and company. Now he's got a, you want to say lesser cast? I don't know if I'm going to say that because Davante, Jacoby Meyers, and then Trey Tucker. Now you added a Michael Gallup. You got yourself Brock Bowers. You have Michael Mayer. This team does have a lot of weapons that Gardner Minshew can absolutely work with. So it's up to him whether or not he's going to be that guy. My biggest fear in this offense is if Minshew struggles. Will they pull the leash and say he's off and they're going to go with an Aiden O'Connell? That is my biggest fear because you're going to lose a lot of camaraderie. You're going to lose a lot of chemistry. And then the Raiders are again going to lose a lot of games because we know what Aiden O'Connell can't do. And we absolutely know what Gardner Minshew also can't do on the field. So it's one of these situations. It's a patch-made solution at the quarterback spot, but there is upside. There is potential here as long as Minshew's spreading the football around. Will we see more double tight end sets? That's the biggest question mark I have. You draft a guy like Brock Bowers, who at that point in the NFL draft was the best player available. Now you can go more 12-man personnel. This is going to aid extremely well in the run game with a Zeus, White, and then Alexander Madison. So there is potential here where you're going to see likely a downgrade at the running back spot, but at least you have the potential to be opening up and promoting the play action pass with a Gardner Minshew, with the tight ends that you do have, and then utilize a Davante Adams and a Meyers that much more in the pass game. What will Trey Tucker be? I mean, you see how it's split up here. Minshew did have 62% completion percentage, only 3,300 yards, and only 15 touchdowns. So you see where the touchdown decline could come into play, where the Raiders had 20 overall as a team. You only had 15 last year, Gardner Minshew. So you're going to likely see potentially garbage time productivity coming from a Davante Adams. There is that realist way to view it. The Raiders could be losing games. The defense did improve as well, added a lot of pieces, could give the offense back the football as well, but you require a true franchise quarterback to feed this offense. Jacoby Meyers, he had a good season, 71 receptions, 800 yards, 8 touchdowns. We could see this as well. Is Gardner Minshew just going to take what the defense gives him? Is the defense going to continue to double up on a Davante Adams? I don't think you can anymore because you got guys like Brock Bowers, and Meyers is definitely one of these guys known to carve up some defenses on his own. Trey Tucker, man, 19 receptions, 331, and 2 TDs. He's an up-and-comer as well. Can take that slot role. Now with no Hunter Renfrew, which is absolutely crazy to me. You let go one of the best route runners on your team. Still don't understand what that's about, man. Michael Gallup, 34 receptions, 418, 2 TDs with the Dallas Cowboys last year. He's going to add maybe speed, stretching ability down the field. That's also what they require on this offense. I think that's why they paid him some money to get him over here. Prove-it deal for Michael Gallup. His career has definitely gone sideways since joining the Cowboys from his NFL draft process. Michael Mayer, again, he's one of these guys. He's a pass-catching tight end. Is he so much in the blocking ability? Probably not. That's why they brought in a Brock Bowers. He's kind of the full meal deal when it comes to tight ends coming out of an NFL draft, and he will showcase that here with these Las Vegas Raiders, but there's your depth for them. It's going to definitely be interesting. In terms of ADP and ranking, Davante Adams still is being promoted quite heavily as the wide receiver 9 here so far in consensus ADP. Puka Nacua is number 7. Garrett Wilson, number 8. Davante slotted in at number 9. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., best rookie in the class, obviously at wide receiver 10. And then wide receiver 11 is a Brandon Ayuk. When you're looking at where Davante kind of slots in, who would you rather have at this point? And I can make an argument for all of these gentlemen over a Davante Adams at this point, simply put, because of how little he boomed for us last season. 47%, man. He was more of a liability than he wasn't, man. Almost 60% non-boom rate is terrible for one of the elite talented wide receivers in the NFL, and it's got not I don't want to say it's everything to do with him because I still believe Davante is one of the best in the league. It's just who's throwing him the football. Should we see an uptick from a Gardner Minshew? He's going to have his bad days as well. I'm absolutely taking a Puka, Garrett Wilson over Adams at this point. Marvin Harrison, we can have a discussion at this point because Harrison is a rookie and he will have growing pains as well. But a Brandon Ayuk, now we're in that conversation. 1,300 yards. Is Davante going to crack 1,300 yards? Is Davante going to get his 8 to 10 touchdowns this year? This is the problem. What will it be? Man, Michael Pittman saw a lot of yardage, a lot of receptions last year with Gardner Minshew, but he did not necessarily see the top-end touchdown productivity. It's going to be one of those things. You may draft him a little too high. Davante Adams, I'm speaking of, in this draft because it's the name cachet of what he can do by himself on the field. But I do believe that the way this goes right now, even as much as I do like a Gardner Minshew, I'm putting a lot of red flags on who is throwing him the football, and it is a problem Also with the offensive coordinator, they go and they sign themselves Luke Getsy from the Chicago Bears as their new offensive coordinator, and I am not a fan of this move whatsoever. I understand they wanted Cliff Kingsbury, so this is kind of like, the sloppy seconds, if you want to say, at the offensive coordinator spot. The Bears ranked at the bottom in almost every category in passing last year. Yes, it was Justin Fields, but you see what they could not do under Luke Getsy, and I got my question marks. I think it's not going to go very well unless, something magical happens where Minshew is like his prodigy and he can make the plays down the field. I don't like it whatsoever. Davante will be 31 years of age as the season does go on. So like I said, could age be creeping up into, what he used to be? It is possible. Am I going to say it today? No. I still think Davante's got a lot left in the tank. He could play to 34, 35 and still put up the numbers that he has with a solid quarterback. But we could be on the first stages of seeing this decline happen right in front of my eyes. So in dynasty leagues, abso-freaking-lutely, you put Davante on the trade block and hope you can cash in just on his name cachet. But we might have to wait to midseason where he does have one of his, patented blow-up games and then ship him out on high value that way as well. Quarterback issues continue. Minshew or O'Connell. Like I said, who is it going to be? Who can we really trust? I mean, Minshew was able to, like I said, support a Michael Pittman, but wasn't really good supporting anybody else to those levels that we could see for fantasy football, and that is a big problem. If they do go away, 180 targets just to Davante last year, are they going to continue to force feed this man and negate everybody else on this team? I highly doubt it. I think Getsy's going to try to at least, spread the football around, instruct Minshew to spread the ball around to whoever is open. We could absolutely see, in that respect, a target share decrease from a Davante Adams, where he has been with these Raiders target share dependent. With Derek Carr, it was a little different, but this past year, 180 targets, definitely with lesser statistics. They were force feeding him the ball to the point of 32.9% on the target share under that new head coach. So it's one of those situations, man. You felt like they didn't have much. They didn't want to do much. It was just force feed your elite talented wide receiver and hope for the best. And there were opportunities where Adams did repay it. But, putting that much pressure on the guy, 32% is a lot of offense to be given one player. There is no question, man. 57.1% of his production came in 5 games only. This is a big problem, like I said. So if you're going to see where he finishes as a wide receiver 11, majority of that came in 5 games, man. 122 points of his over 200, 13 came in 5 games. This is a big problem, man. He's not going to be that consistent level baller that we require, and winning fantasy championships is always about that consistency rate. We got to get these guys booming for us week in, week out. I would rather prefer his boom rate be that much higher than his averages, because the averages get inflated with these high-end games where he's scoring you 30 games and gets you a win one week. I would rather him give me the 12 to 15, and then we're seeing the booms, add up in the aggregate for the rest of my club where I'm winning every single week. So that is a big concern for me as well. Will the run game regress? More double tight end sets, like I said. It is one of these situations. How will this run game fare without a Josh Jacobs? That is a big question mark. Even though I am a big Zeus White supporter, I think he is very good. Zamir Zeus White, I think he's very good. He's very talented. Loved him at UGA, and I think he can carry the load, and he will handle the load quite a bit, even though they got an Alexander Madison to do a tandem backfield. This could be a decent backfield. Will it be a great backfield to support the talents of a Gardner Minshew, take pressure off the pass game, set up that play-action pass? Will they run more double tight end sets? These are all questions we do not have answers to with a Getsy right now coming in with these Las Vegas Raiders. It is a big problem for me. So on top of it, not only do you have the potential of an Davante Adams regression, you have the potential of who's going to be the guy at quarterback where we can say it's going to be top-end levels of appeal. I don't like it whatsoever. My projected stats this year: 16 contests, 155 targets, 93 receptions for 1,090 yards and 8 touchdowns. So he's going to see his worst yardage wise. I want to believe, especially with a Brock Bowers now on this team, it's going to be interesting to say. I mean, if they're going to give him 180 targets again, he'll go over that 1,100 yards, almost 1,200 yards. How many TDs is he going to score? We could see the highest level of regression for Davante that we have seen in the past 5 years. This is a big one. So his rank for me, he would finish, if this is his projected stat line based on the metrics that I have in my system, he could finish as the wide receiver 14 and then 203.5 points with a boom rate of 56.2. The boom rate could go up because I want to see a little bit more, the offense saying, take what the defense is giving you, which could improve his boom rate, but it will drop his overall stat line by about 10, 15 points and then drop him down from wide receiver 11 to wide receiver 14, which means you're overdrafting a Davante at this point. If he falls another round or two, absolutely we can smash that because he is the elite talent that we can trust. In dynasties, absolutely start seeking trades because he is one of these guys you got to sell him off at a certain point unless he gets traded to a team with a quarterback or the Raiders find themselves some luck and get a quarterback that is franchise worthy. Then things do change for Adams, but we got to go with what we know today. And as we said today, I'm saying wide receiver 9 is way too high for a Davante Adams as the stats. I mean, it's been showing complete decrease season after season, and we definitely got to take notice of that. But there you have it. That is Davante Adams draft guide. What are we doing with him in 2024? Kind of laid out my thoughts on the man. At the right price and value, I will absolutely still take him, but I will not touch it at wide receiver 9. I think it is too high, even though the volume is likely going to be there again. It's just too rich for my blood. I would rather go for a running back in that sense at that point of the fantasy football drafts. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts. What do you think of Davante? You guys in, you out? Are you drafting him at his current ADP value? Throw it in the comments. We can definitely talk it out. But we'll see you next time. I am out.